Welcome back, boys. This is your boy Grant, back with another mod for the 535 back here. Today we're going to be working on fixing a slight issue that we've had over the last couple of weeks. So here recently I've started having issue with the car, doing a little bit of bogging down, and then I actually want to start checking codes. I actually got a code for low pressure on our high pressure fuel. So from what I did a little bit of research. From what I understand, it looks like that's probably going to be my low pressure fuel pump. Looks like we got our helper with us today. Say hi, Austin.
Hi.
So we're gonna be working here. We're gonna jump into this, see if we can't get this back seat out, start working on replacing this low pressure fuel pump. So we'll take a look at the Walbro unit that just came in, and then we'll flip the camera around and get started now. All right, guys, so we just got our Amazon delivery today, and we wanted to get this done quickly. So I actually went out. Amazon has the fuel pump with 1 day delivery. Ran $149. So here we go. So, let's see here. So we got Walbro. This is the 450. So they actually have a high flow version as well as a standard version. This is the high flow version. And then it actually comes with some of the replacement lines that we need, cables, all that sort of thing. So we're gonna see if we can open this up real good for us. Okay, so there's our Walbro unit here. See here, yep. And then we got the part number on there, just double checking that. So that looks good. And then of course, part of the kit here comes with fuel line, and then we have some just different fittings as well as our plugs for the adapter. So we're going to tear into this now, and first of all, get into that back seat, see if we can't get the back seat out and start pulling out the old fuel pump. Okay, fellas, so we're in the back seat. What I would recommend, of course, is pushing your front seats up as far as possible. And then to get this job done, from what I understand, you should just have to pull up on these seats. There we go. So we're just gonna yank and pull up, and when we do, they come loose, and you can wiggle your seat out. So make sure you have your seat belts, and kind of push those through, and then your seat should just be able to come out freely. So let's see here. I got a seat belt that's caught, it looks like. There we go. So just push those through and seat out. And this is dirty back here. So one thing, if you've never cleaned back here, it's a good opportunity to do that. So I'm going to do that while we have these out. So hopefully this is going to show up on camera well. As you guys know, I don't have a cameraman. So what I've done now is I went ahead and grabbed my little shop vac, just did a quick vacuum here. But when it comes to the fuel pump, it's actually on the passenger side. So if you just pull this up, you'll see it exposes the fuel pump casing here. So what I did is just grabbed a little free weight that I had laying around, set that there to hold that back, and now we're going to work on getting these 5 bolts off. From what I understand, I think they're, I want to say that they are 10 millimeter. Yes, and that is correct. So we've got 10 millimeter. I'm just going to throw that on our DeWalt real quick and get these knocked off. Real quick, get those off. Okay, so we've got all 5 of those bolts out. We're going to set our DeWalt over to the side. One quick thing before we move any further, and I forgot to say this at the very beginning of the video, it's best if you can do this with the least amount of gas in your tank as possible. So I think my car popped up and said I had about 30 miles till empty. If I could have gone a little bit more than that, I probably would have, because you want to get your tank as low as possible so that you're not having to waste any of your gasoline. So we're going to go ahead and pop this cover off, as well as, of course, I'm doing this kind of on the fly. If I would have probably been able to plan a little bit more, I would have got like the tool to remove this ring. I did not have a chance to purchase that. I kind of, like I said, did this quickly. So what I'm going to have to do is kind of go the old school brute force method. I've got just a flathead screwdriver and my 5-pound sledge, and we're going to have to rotate and get this ring off using that. So let me reset the camera here so we can see if we can kind of look down in here a little bit more for you guys. Okay, so hopefully this camera angle is a little bit better for you guys. So what we're gonna do here first is, it looks like this one here should slide forward. Yeah, so that slides forward, and once that does, we can get that to release. So I believe that's our power. So we've got that disconnected. We also have another one here that looks like we can press in on the sides. Yeah, and that pops out too. So both of those are disconnected. And then this one here, not sure which one this one here is, but looks like we can, okay, on the side it has two little red spots that we can actually push in, and when we get that, we get it to pull forward a little bit. That one actually can come off. But so what I'm going to do here, and again, just want to kind of show you guys the methods of taking those off. What we're going to do now is I'm actually going to start the car, see if we can get as much of this fuel out of the system. So we'll do that real quick, and I'll be back with you guys in just a moment. Okay guys, so we actually started the car, let it run for, it just ran for just a few seconds. Tried to restart a couple times, nothing. So now we're going to, hopefully that, like I said, got all the fuel out of the system, and we're gonna see about getting everything else knocked out. Actually, one thing I'm gonna do before that, because I wanna absolutely make sure I don't get in any dirt, grime, or anything like that in my fuel tank. I see a little bit of dirt around here. I'm gonna grab my shop vac again, just kind of clean that up as much as possible, and then I'll be back with you guys. So make sure everything is clean. We're gonna push these tabs in on the side and see if we can't get this little piece to release. Okay, get that off, and that is now off. So when you pop that off, a little bit of fuel does come out, and I'm not sure if you can see it here from, this is where I had to actually get my flathead in here to pull that out. I can actually still see a little bit of fuel coming off of this line. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, another good reason to make sure that you have this tank as empty as possible, but you will still get a little bit of fuel out. I'm gonna grab a couple paper towels just because I don't want this just all over the inside of the car, smelling up the car as well too. So I'm gonna kind of clean that up real quick before we move forward. Okay, so of course, just threw some paper towels in there to kind of soak up all this fuel, no big deal. And again, like I said, guys, I just actually made this decision because I started having even just like more bogging down, or more repeated bogging down type issues, and again, getting that low pressure fuel sensor code. So I decided to do this, just purchased this pump yesterday, and with Amazon had it come in today. So I did not have an opportunity to actually purchase the tool to actually remove this ring. I believe like Fuel It has a tool to do this. I think it runs about $40. So again, I'm going to use the brute force method with just a flathead screwdriver and my little 5-pound sledge. So I'm gonna do that off camera, just because it's not really something that I condone, and I'm not telling you guys to do it all the time. But and then so once I have that ring free, I'll be right back with you guys in just a second. Okay, boys. So that took about 5 minutes. Just trying to be careful because, of course, this is a plastic tank. You don't want to go at it so hard that you end up breaking, through or piercing your plastic tank, or so. But as you guys can see here, we've got the ring loose. So there, now it's out. I'm gonna set that over to the side as well. And now it's just a matter of pulling the pump out. And then we'll put that, take that over to the workbench and start working on that. And again, just so you guys know, we may have to take a break here in a little bit. I'm not sure if you guys noticed from Little Man when he said hi on camera, he's got a soccer game here in a little bit. So we might break for that, that and lunch, and then come back and finish up. But shouldn't be that big of a deal, especially since we've already got I would say probably the hard part done. So here we go. We've got to slowly try to, let's see here. So, and now it looks like our container here looks a little bit different than it did on some of the videos I've seen with the F30. So we're gonna play with this a little bit and see if we can't get this maneuvered out. See if there's any lines that need disconnecting, and go from there. So of course we're just gonna start disconnecting the ones that we can see. I'm not sure if that's showing up on camera, but we've got one right here that has a little push in connector on the side. So we're gonna push that in and pull. This is not released. There we go. Okay, so pushing on the side, and that finally released there. It took us a few seconds there, and let's see what else is holding us down. What that is.
Oh, is that gasoline smaller?
Yeah, it's gasoline, bub. That's
oh,
why.
I see like water. That's
Okay.
gasoline.
No, it's gasoline.
It looks like water, but it's gasoline.
It definitely is not water.
Well, there'll be water in the car.
Yeah, that would be bad. Okay, so I can see the fuel pump right here on top. Just gonna try to see what we need to do to get this released. Come on, thing. Let's see here.
We're gonna take Mom's car because you're gonna work on this.
Yeah, okay, so this here, this connection, so we've got this long line here. Again, this is a little unfamiliar from what I've seen online, but that's no big deal because we were looking at the F30 or you know, some of the, basically the 3 Series. And we're gonna see, let's see here. So we've got a couple connections here that have to slide to be released, it looks like. Are you trying to see, you trying to look at the camera there, Austin? Okay, it looks like you just pinch on the side and these connections here will pull up. So I've got 2 of them, 1 on each side. Release those. And then, let's see what else we got in here.
If you touch
And it looks like the unit really should just be able to come out. It looks like there's 3 clips that we probably have to, we're still getting fuel coming out of here, so it's a good thing we don't have a seat. So we're gonna see if we can't get these clips to release, and we can, I think, lift this the rest of this unit out of the car so we can take it to the workbench. So that's what we're gonna try to do now. Okay.
Smells bad.
Wow, and we sprayed up a little bit.
Wait, is gasoline the same thing as gas?
Yes, gasoline is the same as gas.
Oh, so you put.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys could see that or not, but there's 3, I'm gonna see if I can bring the camera in closer for you guys here in just a second. Okay, fellas, so hopefully you guys can see that. This is the top hat that we took off. Here's the pump assembly as we've got it pulled out, as well as you see the filter on the bottom. And if we look down in here, what you'll notice is there's 3 tabs. Those 3 tabs actually have to be pressed outward for you to be able to release this pump assembly for it to come up. So now that we've got this out, we're going to move it over to the workbench and get the new one swapped in, and then we'll look at putting everything back in reverse. Okay, so we've moved our old fuel pump setup over to our workbench. Of course, this is our new fuel pump here, so we're just going to have that sitting over to the side. First of all, we've got to release this from the cage, and it looks like so we've got some connections on the side. We're just gonna, so we can push these back a little bit and get this to our filter at the bottom to come off. So we're gonna remove this way. We're gonna need to disconnect our plug here. There we go. So now that's good. Got that to release there. And then this hose here, I want to get this, okay. So from what I can see, it looks like we're probably gonna have to, yeah, we're gonna cut that hose off. So I'm just gonna use a little blade here to see if I can't cut this ever so. We don't want to cut into the actual cage assembly or the pump. It's, you know, the rest of this unit, but we do want that to be able to release. So okay, I can see that we've got it cut here, and as you guys can tell, I decided I was going to use a little bit of a cardboard box, try to keep a lot of this fuel off of my workbench, which looks like it's working pretty well. Okay, there we go. So now that's off. So now we should be able to come back and release these bottom units again. Oh wow, it's really starting to leak. So I'm definitely glad I got this cardboard here. There we go. Okay, so there it is. Old pump is now out. And we're gonna get our filter off. Okay, filter off. Old pump is gone. So we're gonna go ahead and slide in our new pump. Then I will figure out how I wanna do that wiring, and we'll put it all back in. I don't really wanna switch over from using this filter for the simple fact that it's part of the cage and holding the unit in. So we're just gonna have to, because we did get a filter with our new pump, But again, this is part of the cage that holds this unit in. So we're going to need to put this old filter back on, and then we're just lining up our clips. There we go. That clip back in place. So the new pump is actually in. This is the new fuel line that I'm actually putting on. All I'm doing is actually, I can't see anything where it tells us instructions on how to do that. So it does slide on. You just actually have to use force. So I'm just pushing down, twisting, got it to go down all the way onto the case here. And so now we're just going to pop this section off here, off of the fuel pump, and then you're just going to put that line here on the fuel pump itself. Yep, just like that. And then, like I said, it does go on. You just got to really use some force and push it on. There we go. So no heat is needed, but you do need to have a little bit of a muscle to put it on there, and that one's snugly in place. So now I'm just going to look into the wiring, and we'll be right back at it. And thank you, Austin, for snapping. We've got everything back installed. So again, filters on, got our new hose in, that's pushed down, secured real nicely. And then we've got our wires wired in. So what I had to do is just basically I left a little bit of length, but I cut off the connector from the initial or the original fuel pump. Used the spades that were there, went ahead and connected in. And then I used some little small zip ties I had to keep that secured to the piping, just because we don't want it to pull and then actually end up pulling out those connections. So we're ready. This thing's ready to go back in, and we're gonna jump into that now. Okay guys, so we are now back in the car, getting ready for reinstall. The one thing that I would tell you, of course, is to double check all of your connections, because you don't want to have to pull this out multiple times. It's not a bad job at all, but again, you just don't want to have to go into the tank and pull this out multiple times. So I've already been on the workbench double checking connections. Everything's been triple checked, so we should be good here. Now I'm actually losing fuel again here, because this thing does still hold fuel. So I'm just gonna clean that up a little bit. Okay, so we're now gonna make sure we have all these our hoses and things kind of out of the way or pushed over to the side a little bit, so that we can start, well, kind of push them the best we can. So we're gonna now snake this down back in, and then keep in mind you've got these two hoses that are going to connect to the top of your filter. So you do want to make sure that everything is actually orientated the correct way. Right now mine is not, so we're going to see if we can't get this to rotate around, and if it won't rotate, then we're going to have to pull it out to get it to do. And it doesn't, there we go, we were getting it to rotate some here. Okay, so your two connections there need to be facing the rear of basically the trunk, and we're just using the tabs as guides. So again, there's those 3 tabs that are down there. We're using those as guides to kind of see how that lines up correctly. And we are now in there properly. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and push these connections back on, and you should hear them click when you actually connect them. So that's what's going on now. Oh, there we go. And now that actually, pushing that down actually got that to force that in space. Yeah, I know, bub. Okay, so those are now connected, and now we're gonna push everything else, all the other connections and lines, back into the tank. This little connection here, if you see, there's actually a little hole at the, what's the forward connection there on the top. This is gonna push down into that connection, is what it looks like. So I'm gonna try to, I couldn't tell that when I was actually when I was removing it, but I can see it when I'm looking at it from here. So we're gonna have to kind of get it maneuvered in there, get your wires back where you need to, and then you can see, I'm not sure if you can see that or not. I'll move the camera here in a minute and see if you can't see if that comes in a little bit better on the camera. You can see in here, that's what we're talking about. So this little connection here, there's actually, see if I can move that out of the way. I can't really, but there is a spot back there where those little pins are up. That's actually for that connection. So I'll push that in, and then I'll bring it back out just a moment, and I'll show you what we meant. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see that now, but there it is back there. It's actually pushed into its space. That actually has to click back into that connection. It's got a little thing that holds it in place. But now we're basically good to go. So we're gonna continue plugging everything back in, and then we'll give our car its first start. Oops, I almost forgot here. You do want to make sure you get that connection put back in as well too. So that one there, I think was one of the first connections we removed when we moved this cover. So that clicks back in. You've got this little tube that actually needs to go into the tank. There we go. And then we can put the cover back on. Okay. Okay, so we just got our ring put back in place. Nice, thanks to our trusty hammer. Okay, and we're just gonna go ahead and put this in here. Okay, so push that in, and then you can push the red lever forward. Okay, that's this one here. Yeah, so that one just pushes in there. Tuck that wire back in, and then this is the connection from the top of our cover. There's a little gasket. I'm actually gonna set this down on here now. So we'll just put our little gasket back on. And hopefully that kind of probably helps with keeping smell and stuff like that out. And then this one here, of course, we definitely don't want to forget to connect this as well too. So we're going to, oh yeah, this one here is the one that we push in first. And then once that's pushed in, you can probably see that now. Once this is pushed into place here, then we're just gonna push forward, and that actually locks that into place. So that's connected tight. This one here is tight, and this is tight. So everything is connected there. We're gonna put our lid back on, put our bolts back in, and we should have a job complete. Okay, boys. So we've got the car back together. Fuel pump, everything is done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit our ignition. Probably let it prime a couple times. So we'll give that we can let the fuel pump prime, kind of build up a little bit of pressure there. Okay. Turn it off. We're going to try that again. Okay, so we're going to give it, see if we can give us the first start. See how she runs. Okay. That cold start. All right, looks like we're ready to rock and roll. So, haven't had a chance to address the slight misfire that we have. We know that's on cylinder 2, so we're going to check on that. Actually going to have to get a fuel injector puller to take a look at that, but the fuel pump has been replaced. So we now have that low pressure fuel pump replaced, and we are ready to move on to probably going to be the next step's probably going to be a front mount intercooler. So yeah, I think we're happy with this. We're gonna let it idle and then go get some gas. Actually, get a little gas ethanol blend. Okay, so as a little addendum to this video, for anyone that's looking at doing this, always make sure you use the clamps that actually come with the pump. So as you see, I'm doing emergency surgery. Had to pull this back open because this line popped off of the fuel pump hose. So off the fuel pump itself. So the clamps that came in the package, I've actually now put those onto the pump assembly, so we are good to go ahead and reinstall, but not something that you want to have to do. So do it the first time. Okay, boys, we got the fuel pump lined out. So new low pressure fuel pump installed. Walbro 450 high pressure unit. It is installed. That's actually pushes us to a stage 2 fuel pump. So again, I was having issues with my stock fuel pump. I just think it was due to mileage. Had 140,000 miles. I started checking FCP, Euro, different sites, and it was actually cheaper for us to go stage 2 on the fuel pump than it was to go with a stock unit. So went ahead and knocked that out. Now we're actually ready to rock and roll. And I'm not sure if you guys saw the spoiler with the the instrument cluster swipe, as well as my phone set up with JB4. But yes, we do already have the JB4 installed. Still working on that video, so I'll get that to you guys shortly as well too. So we are full stage 2 right now, and we'll probably be going here in the next week, maybe a couple of weeks, with the front mount intercooler, and we'll be able to push to stage 2 plus, and then we'll start looking at that back end flash as well too. So you guys stay tuned. If this is your first video, make sure you like and subscribe. Share the video. Again, guys, we want to grow the channel. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys want to see next on the ride? And we will keep this thing moving. Again, you guys be safe, and we'll catch you in the next video.